Alien interlopers, or self-replicating probes, also known as von Neumann probes, have been suggested by SETI researchers as a potential technosignature. Similar to the exploration we do here in our solar system, employing rovers, spacecrafts, and orbiters, we can't negate the possibility of an interstellar artifact sent by another civilization to investigate and learn about our solar system.
Hello, I'm Dr. Alejo, and today we will explore the short but rich history of interstellar visitors and the big debate about the nature of the super famous 3I Atlas object.
In his 1973 science fiction novel Rendezvous with Rama, Arthur C. Clarke tells the story of how in the year 2131, astronomers discovered what initially was thought to be an asteroid entering the solar system. It had a hyperbolic trajectory, high speed of around 100,000 kilometers per hour or 28 kilometers per second, and an unusual orientation with respect to the ecliptic. The ecliptic is the plane at which most planets and objects in the solar system orbit around the sun. The object, named Rama, after the Hindu deity, also exhibited weird light variation patterns indicating a long, smooth, and reflective surface. Closer observations allowed the astronomers to conclude that the object was actually an artificial cylindrical spacecraft. And some very interesting stuff happens after. But I won't keep telling you about the plot in case you want to check out the book. I highly recommend it. Right from the beginning, Rama's high speed, hyperbolic trajectory, and orientation indicated that the object wasn't bound to the sun. This suggests an interstellar origin, or in other words, Rama came from a different solar system. Objects that are bound to the sun because either they were formed from the same original nebula cloud or because they have been captured by the strong sun's gravitational field have elliptical or almost perfect circular orbits. In this fictional future, Rama was the first interstellar object ever detected by humanity. But in the real world, humans didn't have to wait until 2131. On the 19th of October 2017, astronomers at the Pan-STARRS telescope in Hawaii detected an object on its way out from our solar system at a distance of 33 million kilometers, which is about 85 times as far away as the moon. Similar to Rama, this very much real object had a hyperbolic trajectory, moved extremely fast, about 26 kilometers per second, and had an unusual orientation with the ecliptic. Even more, its brightness variation suggested that the object's length was at least 10 times larger than its width, indicating a cigarette-shaped form. As in the novel, all these characteristics were a clear indication that the object was indeed from an interstellar origin, the first ever detected. The object was named ʻOumuamua, which means a messenger from afar arriving first in Hawaiian. Its official name, though, is really 1I 2017, or simply 1I. Its name indicates that it is the first interstellar object observed. Of course, 2017 is the year of the discovery. As asteroids are usually objects that orbit within the inner solar system, and Oumuamua was definitely not coming from within the solar system, but from a far, far away place, scientists didn't consider 1I to be an asteroid. But astronomers are very familiar with objects coming from faraway places. Those are icy bodies known as comets, and they usually come from the edges of our solar system. Therefore, Oumuamua was categorized as a possible comet. Comets are usually referred to as dirty snowballs, given that they are mostly made up of frozen gases such as water, vapor, carbon monoxide, and carbon dioxide, rocks, and the dust left from the formation of the solar system. Their orbits are highly elliptical and are more visible when they are closer to the sun, when their proximity causes them to start melting. This is when we observe the famous gas and dust tails, for which comets are known for. The gas tail, which can reach lengths of millions of kilometers, is made up of charged particles caused by the magnetic fields from the solar winds. The dust tail is composed of dust particles that are released from the nucleus of the comet by escaping gases. When the comet gets closer to the sun, it warms and parts of it sublimate. This causes a cloud of dust and ice form surrounding the comet. This is known as the coma of the comet. Therefore, comas grow as they get closer to the sun. Comets can be as big as the diameter of Jupiter, making it hard to estimate the real size of the core of the comet. But when Oumuamua was close to the Sun, no evidence of a tail or a coma was observed. It also seemed to have accelerated as it left the solar system. These weird characteristics caused a very small sector in the astronomical community, led by the remarkable astronomer Avi Loeb, a very respected professor at Harvard University, to propose the possibility that Oumuamua was from an artificial origin, either a spacecraft or a piece of a probe sent to gather information about our solar system. But as I said before, this group of astronomers supporting this idea was really small. On the other hand, many scientists have explained that the acceleration observed as Oumuamua left the solar system is consistent with hydrogen gas, released due to hydrogen sublimation. Contrary to regular comets observed within the solar system, which eject carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide, a comet ejecting hydrogen would lack a coma or tail, as hydrogen is less massive and doesn't have the momentum to pull too much dust.
A second aspect that also fueled the idea of one eye being artificial was its odd cigar shape. But the odd shape can also be explained without having to invoke aliens. The idea is that Oumuamua was once part of a parent body, in this case a hydrogen iceberg, or even an exoplanet similar in composition to the dwarf planet Pluto, that had a close encounter with the parent star. This encounter caused the iceberg to be fragmented, and Oumuamua is probably one of those resulting fragments.
Finally, astronomers at the Green Bank telescope observed one eye for 6 hours, searching for radio signals. Nothing was detected in the frequency of ranges they listened to. Unfortunately, Oumuamua was only observed while it was leaving the solar system and is gone now. But now astronomers had the confirmation that interstellar objects were indeed visiting our solar system, and they got ready. Also, our instruments got better at spotting these things.
In August 2019, the amateur astronomer Gennady Borisov discovered another unusual object. This 2019 object also had a highly hyperbolic trajectory with respect to the Sun and a high velocity of 32 kilometers per second, one more time indicating that this was as well another interstellar object. The object was officially named as 2I Borisov, as in the second interstellar object. Contrary to Oumuamua, 2I Borisov had all the characteristics of a regular comet from the beginning. It had a coma, it had a tail, it was a comet. As far as I am aware, there was no controversy about the nature of 2I. Regardless, the object from an astronomical point of view was extremely interesting, not only because it demonstrated our capacity of detecting this type of object, but also because of some uncommon characteristics. For instance, its chemical analysis indicated that it was rich in carbon monoxide and almost completely depleted in water. Then, a third interstellar object enters the scene. On the 1st of July 2025, an object with all the characteristics of the two first interstellar objects was observed by the Atlas Chilean telescope. Highly hyperbolic trajectory, high speed, about 58 kilometers per second, and not aligned with the ecliptic. It came from the general direction of the constellation Sagittarius, which is where the central region of our galaxy, the Milky Way, is located. The object was named 3I Atlas, and I hope that by now you know the reason why it has a 3 and an I on its name. The good thing is that the object was detected when it was still far away from Earth, within the orbit of Jupiter. This has given time to the scientific community to try to study the object as much as they can before it disappears into the vastness of the universe from February 2026. Even more, by some lucky coincidence, the Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, or TESS, a satellite commissioned to find exoplanets, was actually observing the exact region where 3I Atlas was located from the 7th of May until the 2nd of June 2025. This is, of course, before the 1st of July, when the announcement of the discovery was made. Now, remember that small sector that was pushing for the extraterrestrial origin of Oumuamua? Well, it came back, and this time making even more noise than before,
claiming that this third interstellar object was indeed artificial. And then the internet exploded. Less than a month after the discovery, Professor Love and collaborators published an article titled, "Is the Interstellar Object 3I Atlas Alien Technology?" In the article, the authors list 9 pieces of evidence supporting their view that 3I Atlas could potentially be of alien technological origin. For example, 3I Atlas orbital plane is still not parallel to the plane of the ecliptic. It is at only about 5 degrees of inclination. They consider this as a proof of alien technology, as such inclination makes the object too difficult to intercept. And also, apparently, if the object were indeed a spacecraft, this would enable it to take some scientific measurements of the masses of the solar system planets. Second, they argue that the object is too large to be an asteroid, and by the time they published their paper, there was no indication of outgassing or cometary tail or coma. But remember those early observations done by TESS? Well, those observations have indicated the existence of a coma and a tail. In addition, data collected using the newly commissioned Rubin Observatory dating back 10 days before the discovery also highlighted the presence of a coma. Observations using the Hubble Space Telescope and James Webb Space Telescope in July and August also confirmed the existence of gas in the coma, specifically indicating the presence of carbon dioxide, water, and carbon monoxide. Remember that carbon monoxide was also observed in 2I Borisov, as we previously discussed. Comas, as we also discussed previously, can make it hard to estimate the actual size of the core of the comet. So, by the time the paper was published, no evidence of coma had been detected, and therefore the size of the object was wrongly measured to be really large. Finally, images taken with the Chilean telescope Gemini in September showed the presence of a growing tail. All the remaining arguments in the paper are related to the trajectory of the object, how unusual it is that its orbit is closer to 3 planets of the solar system, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, that its perihelion, the closest point to the Sun, is on the opposite side of the Sun to Earth, implying that the aliens are hiding from us, suggesting some sort of malign intention, that the trajectory from where it came made it hard to detect sooner. All these arguments, though, can be explained from a statistics and probabilistic point of view, and no clear evidence of those details being intentional has been presented. In August, analysis using the Very Large Telescope, or VLT, show an unusual nickel to iron ratio, indicating high concentration of nickel. Unusual, okay, but with respect to what? To what we know. Unusual with respect to the comets we are familiar with in the solar system. Nickel and iron vapor, though, are normally always present in the comas of the solar system comets, even when they are far from the Sun, but not in the nickel to iron ratio observed in 3I. Of course, this odd characteristic has also been seen as suspicious by that small group we talked about, and as a possible indication of the object being of an extraterrestrial technology origin. Just remember that the same was said by them when no coma or tail was apparently observed. But a possible natural chemistry explanation, which by the way doesn't involve aliens at all, is that the nickel was stored in a much more delicate low temperature, highly unstable compound that was able to turn into gas quickly and resist destruction in the water-ice environment, a process that didn't happen for iron. Contrary to the alien technology argument, initial trajectory calculations indicated that 3I Atlas would make a close approach to Mars on October 3rd, which it indeed did. This can be seen as additional evidence that the object behaves like a natural comet. So far, 3I has not exhibited any unusual behavior such as non-gravitational accelerations or strange maneuvers. Its motion has followed a purely Newtonian trajectory consistent with a comet or asteroid under the influence of gravity, compared to, for example, a controlled or programmed trajectory of a spacecraft. When back in July scientists saw the proximity of 3I to Mars, NASA and the European Space Agency, ESA, started to mobilize the different satellites that are currently orbiting in the red planet. Due to this effort, ESA's Mars Express and ExoMars orbiters were able to image it. NASA has also indicated that its rovers Perseverance and Curiosity would be able to observe 3I Atlas. Unfortunately, due to the recent US government shutdown, those images have not been made available to the public. 3I closest approach to the Sun will occur on the 29th of October, and from there it will continue its path towards Venus by the 3rd of November. Also, in November, ESA's spacecraft JWST will be in a position where it will be able to observe 3I. JWST is on its way to Jupiter's largest icy moons, where it will search for signs of habitability. That data will be ready by February 2026. So, what do I think? Unfortunately, I personally believe that the amount of data collected strongly favors the natural origin of the object. Those claiming that 3I Atlas could potentially be from an artificial origin have failed to provide irrefutable evidence supporting such claims. Could it be possible that the object is indeed an alien spaceship? Yes, I guess. But there is nothing at this stage other than the discussion of how some of the characteristics of this object are highly unlikely to indicate this is the case. I saw this guy on YouTube that was hit by lightning twice, something that is quite unlikely, but still happened. I also saw this other guy that won prizes on a scratchy ticket on live TV when asked to recreate the first time when he won a prize on a scratchy the day before.
And even more good luck when we asked Bill to reenact buying his scratchy ticket.
I just won 250,000. I'm not joking.
Quite unlikely, but still happened. I think that one of the most valuable points that small group of astronomers pushing the extraterrestrial intelligence idea is to promote the discussion about the possibility of technosignatures with the public. But I do believe it is extremely irresponsible and dangerous to claim that this group is the first and the only one within the scientific community to have an open mind and keen enough to explore the possibility of extraterrestrial intelligence. Chil Tarta, for instance, who was pissed off.
So, Avi, I get a little bit pissed off when you throw the entire scientific culture under the bus, because some of us have been thinking about and building instruments to find anomalies for a very long time.
And many scientists and astrobiologists, and especially the SETI Institute, have been doing this work for more than 60 years. They have been trying to attract the public and the government attention to highlight the importance of searching for technosignatures. Also, it has been pretty bad seeing how all the UFO enthusiasts and pseudoscientists are using the claims from Avi Loeb and others who are part of that small group to promote their wacky theories. Not everything is bad though. I encourage you to check out Fraser Kent's and John Michael Godier's latest videos on 3I, where scientific accurate information is discussed. I will link them in the description. Despite the fact that 3I Atlas is more than likely not an alien spaceship, there's still a lot to learn from it, making it one of the most interesting things that have happened in recent years in astronomy. For instance, given the direction from where the object came from and its high speed, it has been estimated that it could be between 9 to 13 billion years old, making it potentially older than our solar system. Its weird composition can also help us understand other planetary systems formation and the composition of the original nebula and central star of the system from where 3I came from. It is different and weird? Yes, it is, as in another solar system different and weird. But it wouldn't be the first time astronomers observe different and weird stuff when observing things from other planetary systems. For example, when astronomers first detected hot Jupiters, which are planets similar to the size of Jupiter but that orbit very close to their host stars, they believed they had made a mistake when analyzing the collected data. We don't see planets like that in our solar system. The gas giants in our solar system are far away from the Sun, but hot Jupiters were confirmed to be real, indicating that planetary systems can have configurations and formation processes different from our own. So yes, 3I is different and fascinating.
Maybe not at the level of alien spaceship fascinating, to be honest, but still pretty cool stuff. I will continue to monitor the news in this space, no pun intended. And if at the end does result that 3i is indeed an alien spacecraft, I will let you know. I wouldn't hold my breath though. If you enjoyed this content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to know more about technosignatures and the probability of communicative extraterrestrial civilizations in the universe, you can watch my previous video on the Drake equation and check out my book Story of More Than 5,000 Worlds, available everywhere where books are sold. Also, let me know in the comments what you think about 3i Atlas. That's it for now, and remember, the truth is out there.